Hello, you are listening to Deeply Curious. My name is Cody Jensen, and joining me in our New York City studio apartment is my wife, Sarah.
Hello.
And also, all the way from Melbourne, Australia, also in our New York City studio apartment, because she has flown in to spend time with us.
Actually, just for this podcast.
Just for this podcast is our bestest of friends, Michelle Nace.
G'day.
So we're hanging out with our friend Michelle, who has lived in Australia for the last year, a little
More
over
than
a year.
Yeah. And change.
Year and change.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, she is a visaed citizen.
True.
Yeah.
I can live there legally.
Is it a citizen if you're a visa?
No.
It's
Resident.
A visa resident? Permanent resident?
Well, no, it's just a visa holder because
Yeah.
you're not even a resident.
A
Temporary resident.
temporary resident. Yeah. A person who cannot be kicked out for the next 5 years.
4.
4 years. Yeah. So, that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, plenty of time, really.
Yeah.
Big achievement.
So we met Michelle whenever we were living in Tulsa, Oklahoma, because we went to the same church. We knew who we knew of each other, and we were acquaintance-eye.
That's a word.
Yeah. But then we really wanted to move into this mid-century modern neighborhood.
Yeah.
And we were looking for these houses to buy, and they were in demand because there's not a whole lot of supply. And so we were just looking at everyone that came to the market, and the one that came to the market that was in our price range
That was
we
perfect.
liked was directly next door to Miss Michelle and her lovely husband, Ryan.
Yes. So I
Um,
texted her. I was like, hey, would it be a problem if we were neighbors? I know it's kind of awkward because we know each other.
Except awesome, but yeah.
Yeah. She was like, no.
Yes. And then shortly thine after, we became...
As you do.
I moved
Yeah.
in, essentially.
Yeah.
we didn't move into our own house. We
Yeah.
moved into each other's houses.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We were constantly back and forth.
Yep.
We took showers at your house for
We did.
multiple weeks while we were remodeling our
Remember?
bathroom.
I forgot about
Yeah.
that.
Whenever Optimus got out of the backyard, he would bark at your front door at
Yeah.
5
Yep.
a.m.
Yep.
Yeah, because they have a cutie patootie dog.
Yeah. They were
and
little best friends.
our little dog would get out of our yard and then go over to their house and bark at their door to say, "Let me in so I can play."
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. He would get into our backyard too. He would
Yeah.
just show up in the windows and be like, "Oh, hey, Opti."
There's a dog in our backyard.
Yeah.
Also, Michelle's dog is named Kaiju,
Mm-hmm.
which is from Godzilla, or is that the name of Godzilla?
Godzilla is a type of kaiju. Kaiju
Okay.
means strange monster in Japanese, and it's so kaiju is it's a genre of films. It's a creature. It's
Oh,
Yes.
it's everything.
Okay.
it's Ryan's thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So their dog, Kaiju, our dog, Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
We shortened it to Optimus. But yes, two
And then eventually
very
to Opti.
nerdy dogs.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just hanging out. Just
Yeah.
Optimus and Kaiju.
Yeah.
Which our neighbors commented on, really, Optimus and kaiju.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. We're like the same
Japanese
people.
Japanese monster and Michael Bay monster.
Yeah.
Michael Bay
Yeah, yeah.
monster.
So in this episode of the podcast, we're just going to be having a conversation with Michelle. We don't know what we will end up getting into. We have Michelle has been here for 2 days, and I kid you not, we have not stopped talking.
Actually, I feel a little hoarse.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think last night I was like, why am I so tired? And Michelle was like, we've literally been talking since 9 a.m.
Yeah. So
Oh, right.
yeah, we've been talking nonstop, and then we will be getting ready for bed, which we won't talk while we're taking showers, and
Yeah.
it's getting all situated, and then all of a sudden somebody says something, and then we're up for 2 more hours.
Yep.
I feel like it's a good problem, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too much conversation is a good thing.
New podcast coming soon.
Yeah. And so for the start of this podcast, what we're going to do is we're going to dive deeply curious into the life of a American expat moving to Australia.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating process, I think, to try and move to a new country. So,
Moving in general.
moving in general,
Yeah.
it's a big transition. Moving to Australia, which is as far away as you can get.
Pretty far.
There's got to be some insights in there somewhere.
We'll find them.
We'll see.
Yeah.
So in your journey, I guess, of going to Australia, what was
Well, first, I want to know like why you chose Australia.
yeah, there we go.
Like, what about it?
I don't feel like it's a specific answer. I think we had a few places on our list. Canada was one, Australia was one, various cities in the States were an option. And it just was like, as weird as it is to say, it just kept coming up in our social media feeds, in our lives. Like I would either find something that was Australian, Ryan would find like a project he really liked that was Australian. Like he found this podcast that was literally called New Architects Melbourne, like that he just like fell in love with. And
Which Ryan is an architect. So
he is,
that's,
yes.
I mean, why you guys went there, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So these things, it ultimately was like, you know, he knew he wanted to kind of practice somewhere else and kind of learn a different way of doing things. And on top of that, yeah, so Australia just kind of kept popping up. And then maybe, I'm not sure, it was sometime in either 2016 or 2017, but there was a reciprocal license agreement that was passed between America, New Zealand, and Australia. So as a licensed architect, going through a few steps, you can ultimately also be licensed there without having to
Oh, that's
graduate.
nice.
So it's a good place to be if you've already put in the work. So I think that was kind of maybe the final straw where we're like, all right,
Let's do
let's
it.
try.
Yeah.
And it's one of the professions that allows you to get a long-term visa.
Yeah.
So because, you know, you can't go over there and just do anything. You definitely, they have a certain sort of list of recipients gaps they're trying to fill. So yeah,
Yeah.
short-ish answer.
Cool.
Yeah.
So Australia made it easy for an American architect to become an Australian architect license-wise. What they did not make it easy to do was to become a resident or temporary,
A visa holder.
visa holder
Yeah.
in Australia. So that has been your biggest hurdle that has most recently been jumped over,
Yes.
hurdled.
Yes.
Hurdled.
It's been hurdled. Check.
How did you get into the country? Like, what did you do without having a visa? You know what I mean?
Well, so if you're, I guess it's 30 and under, but if you are there, then you are able to get a work and holiday visa, which means you can be there for 12 months, unlimited, and work. So because I fit that bracket, I was able to get that visa. Ryan was older, so he just got the tourist visa. And originally when we went over, the laws were different. So the potential for getting a sponsorship and then, you know, getting a company to sponsor you once you're there was fairly high. And then that all changed in March, which was 3.5-ish months after we got there.
Okay.
So we went over there with the thought, like, he'll go with the tourist visa, we'll suss things out and see. And then all the laws changed.
Gotcha.
So then we were like, okay, we have to go through a different. And also we were working with, at the time, like a migration agency. But what we ended up doing was going with a migration lawyer, which was really good because the agencies aren't as reputable or reliable to go through for that, just depending on your situation. So yeah, the problem was he didn't have working rights.
Yeah.
At first.
So how long is the tourist visa?
Well, technically, the way they do it is you can go for 3 months at a time. And when you leave, that you need to be out for a while. It's not like, oh, you can like leave and come right back in. It's like you're traveling around and you can come back and forth from Australia, but they sort of reserve the right to
Not let you
refuse
in.
your arrival, like if they don't trust that you're there
Interesting.
for the right reasons.
So it's not like what's the European one where you can be somewhere for
I can't remember
6 months and then you have to leave for 3 months and
Right.
then you can come back for 6 months.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't remember exactly how to pronounce that area. The Shenzhen
Oh,
area.
yeah. The triangle. Or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's
like a lot of areas.
Shenzhen area thing.
But you have to
Yeah.
leave it for 3 months
it
every
encompasses
6, I
a
think.
lot of Europe.
Yeah.
And you can travel anywhere within that area.
But then you have to leave.
They're kind of a little more like, I guess, fluid with their rules.
Well, so whenever Ryan left the last time, which was in August,
Mhm.
they said you cannot come back before 3 months.
Oh, okay.
So they did sort of give the 3-month rule, but I don't know if that's consistently the number or not.
Gotcha.
There's so many rules. It's a little bit hard to keep up
So
with.
was Ryan gone for 3 months?
He wasn't, and that was because he got into a master class, which was in Sydney in September. So really, he was only gone just a little over a month. But when he did come back in, it was like a huge risk, and we were both really nervous. But he had all of his papers printed out for the master class. And when he talked to honestly, I was just praying, like, because that we just had an understanding agent.
Yeah.
Because obviously they had every right to not let him come back in. But I was like, our situation's unique because I am on the working holiday and we do have an apartment lease. We have a dog here. Like, he's not here. He's here with me.
Right.
So they were able to see that he was accepted into the master class, and they did let him in.
Oh, okay.
So that was really good. It was awesome.
Nice.
Interesting.
So now you are a year and some change in of being
Yes.
Australian.
We finally got invited for the visa, and then we got it, and yeah.
How quick was it from like the invitation to like getting the like what was that process?
We actually applied to be invited. We inserted ourselves into the lottery in March.
Of 2018.
Yes.
Okay.
And then we were invited to apply for the visa in September.
Okay.
So it took whatever that amount of time is, 5-ish months.
Yeah.
And then we were granted the visa in December, on the 24th of December. So
Okay.
a few months later.
Okay.
But it varies. Yeah. Just took a while.
Gotcha.
So moving to Australia process is long, expensive,
Yes.
hard fought,
Yes.
Yeah.
but it has happened and it is here.
I don't necessarily, I think you could potentially do it easier than we did it. Obviously, with the laws changing, we didn't know that was going to happen, but
Yeah.
I think maybe some of the stuff could have been done stateside.
Right.
Granted, I think.
And if you would have married younger.
Yeah. Damn it, Ryan. Am I allowed to swear on here? Okay.
Sure, why not?
Mature.
Yeah.
But I think it's easier to get into Australia than some other places.
Yeah.
Then
for sure.
I think the UK is a lot harder now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think. Well, and they don't have. I mean,
They don't have that work holiday visa that you went on, I don't think.
No. Can't. Actually, for Australians, I think they do.
I mean,
They have something for.
For
Yeah.
Americans,
Yeah.
Australians can go to the UK,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
Americans are.
Yeah.
Nobody likes us anymore.
You're just everywhere. They're trying to
They're tired of us.
get out of here.
You like walls so much?
You're not allowed here either. Yeah.
Okay, so process is done. We're now living in Australia. We feel we can leave and not worry about getting stopped at customs to be extradited,
Yeah.
Don't kick me out.
deported. So I guess what I'm really interested in is culture.
Yeah.
So you obviously have lived in American culture for 20 plus years.
True.
In several different American cultures.
True.
Yeah.
And now lived in Australia. And the thing, so I'll set you up and let you go.
Okay.
But for a little bit of backstory to get into this, Michelle was pursuing and I guess what would you say? Yeah, just pursuing like a more media driven career in fashion media, I guess. So
That's valid. Yeah.
So in part of that, doing a lot of social media work with Instagram and fashion, doing a lot of YouTube work with sustainability.
Sustainability.
With sustainable fashion and making YouTube videos regularly, growing a YouTube channel, growing a social following, doing all these things, and then moved to Australia, and because of infrastructure reasons, was basically forcibly made to step back from that. But that experience has led to you even not even pursuing that anymore. From the conversations we've had, seems to be more so because of the cultural differences that allowed you to see a life outside of what America deems as a success. Go.
Woo. Yeah. So in the beginning, being moving there, and like, for one, I thought like, oh, fast internet is just everywhere, and it's unlimited, and it's cheap. And, so initially when we got into our apartment a week after we moved, there wasn't any copper. So there was no way for us to get, internet. And without getting all into that, I was having to use public Wi-Fi, and the speeds were so slow. So that was the initial thing. It was like, I can't do this. This is exhausting. Like, got to take a break until I figure this out. I wouldn't say that's so much of an issue anymore, because there's workarounds and there is fast internet. It's just about, figuring that out. But the break allowed me to, like you said, step back and figure out, I know you guys talk about the why on the podcast a lot, and I think it's a really hard question, but when you can figure that out, it sort of will point you in the direction you sort of are going. So for me, while I was pursuing social media growth and YouTube and things like that, and I was enjoying it, was fulfilling, ultimately my why has never been to be a voice for something.
Yeah.
To be the face of something, for it to be about me. And so I think to pursue something where I was the face of something ultimately doesn't make sense. Like, okay, why would I keep doing this? And also, like, going through, just moving to another place, you guys know it's really hard. Making friends. Like, I really wanted to be present. I didn't want to be the new person with my phone out all the time, filming people I barely knew. I really, truly wanted to get to know people and get to know places, look around with my eyes instead of looking around with my brain for content. I just really started to appreciate, like, oh, I can enjoy this. And even if I don't remember it perfectly, I appreciated it in the moment. Yeah. And for me, that has been just really huge, because I think my preoccupation with what I was wearing, what I was saying, what I was doing, figure all those things, like, was really exhausting me. And I don't think it was sustainable. So infrastructure, season of life, figuring out my why, all of those things has sort of like really made me pull back. A weird thing I wasn't expecting was the fact that it's completely opposite seasons.
Yeah.
Really removed me from a lot of marketing.
Yeah.
Like, because marketing is driven towards the Northern Hemisphere.
Right.
We're in the Southern. And so it's like swimsuit season right now. And like, so there's a ton of less brands that are available to you. And you just, like, when you see something on Instagram, that sort of discontentment that you feel when you're like looking at someone's outfit that you want to wear, you don't feel that, because you're like, well, it doesn't apply to me and I can't buy it anyway.
Yeah.
So like, that was actually, at first I was like, I'm having like seasonal FOMO. Like, I wish it was cold right now, even though this is really nice sunny weather.
Yeah.
So that was a weird thing. Then it was like, okay, well, how do I make videos? Because even I actually shot a video with this sweater that I never released, like, a 10 ways to wear a wrap sweater kind of thing. But it was summer here. So I was like, well, am I going to release it? Just like this weird, like, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
So that was a weird, unexpected thing. And the other thing was, they're very much, you guys, I've mentioned tall poppy syndrome on here before, but the tall poppy syndrome is essentially like, you want to build someone up while they're small and little, and once they get to a certain height, then it's like the opposite. We're going to troll you and like cut you down. So I was like wanting to fit into a culture that was very much like not trying to draw attention to yourself kind of thing. So to have a camera or to be the person with drawing it, I just didn't want to be that person. So part of it was also me just trying to fit in.
Yeah.
But ultimately I've gotten to a place now, being there a year, where it's like, because even like just in style, like I kind of started pulling back from wearing some of the stuff I wanted to wear, because it's a really casual culture. But then it was just like, well, that's not me. Like it took me a few months, but ultimately it's like, well, I'm going to be myself. I'm an American in Australia. I don't have to be Australian. I don't have to be Melburnian. I can do what I want to do, and I will feel more confident. And then, I'm more authentic in that way.
Yeah.
So it's like, because it's really hard. I very much want to become it's like when you're a tourist and you don't want to be the one stopping in the middle of the street taking the photo.
Yeah.
But it's a good photo.
I said when we were in London, because everywhere we went, they knew we were American tourists, right? And we got to the point in New York where people just expected us to be New Yorkers. Like they looked at us and knew I can ask them for directions. Like we have people stop us on the street. It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
So I told Cody, I was like, my next goal is to not look like I'm out of place in London.
Yeah. Which keeps you from enjoying London to its fullest extent.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like my biggest regret, like when I was in Paris, I was so obsessed with being Parisian that I wasn't a tourist.
I didn't like marvel at the things around you.
No, because I don't want to look too long. People
Right.
know I'm not from here.
Right.
Why does it matter?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I think like that's been growth like for me over the last like 4 to 5 years, figuring out how to just be yourself no matter where you are.
Yeah.
Because you're robbing yourself of a
Right.
full life because of what other people think.
For
or
sure.
may not think.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
half the time people are too concerned with what is on their own
Yeah,
head.
they're not actually thinking about you.
Yeah. We're also like, yeah.
And my biggest thing that I have formed an opinion on with that and just being a tourist is that touristy things are touristy things for a reason.
Yes.
Right.
Because they are awesome.
Yes.
Right.
Because they are worth coming to see. They are something that has made a reputation for itself as being historic, being beautiful, being like a great photo, whatever it is. It is something that is worth seeing.
Yeah.
Right.
There's just a difference between being touristy and being a tourist trap.
Yes.
Because if you go to Paris and you go see the Eiffel Tower, why are you there if you're not going to go see the freaking Eiffel Tower? It's
Right.
amazing.
Yeah.
You
It
know,
is.
and it's like, yeah, as a tourist, it's like, yes, all tourists, every single one, you know, who's going to go to Paris is going to go see the Eiffel Tower. But that's because it's amazing. But if there's a guy standing down the block from the Eiffel Tower with a menu saying lunch, you know, you want lunch?
Yeah.
It's like, that's a tourist trap.
Yes.
Right.
Because it's a place that is of inferior quality that a Parisian would not eat at.
Right.
But they're capitalizing on the fact that there is something so amazing next to me
Right.
that a lot of people are being flocked to.
And they might be hungry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they might be hungry.
I mean,
And
we
so-
fell into that in Rome.
Yeah.
We had the worst pizza I've ever had in Rome.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
Also the best though. So
and so I think there's just I hate so much it's like a hipster mentality. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a different word for it, but it's just the hipster mentality of thinking that anything that is popular is uncool and I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you're missing out on so many things
It's
in
because
life.
we're obsessed
I
with being
also-
unique. And
Yeah.
like we want to be individuals and think for ourselves and prove ourselves.
I also think that there is something about like people want to know how the locals live. Like that's kind of the
Yeah.
big thing. And I totally I'm that way too.
Well, like how
I
many-
also feel like you can do both. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with like going to see Big Ben and then going into Shoreditch and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
it's
you
like-
can do both.
marveling.
Do you think that people
Yeah.
that like do you think Londoners don't appreciate Big Ben?
Right.
Of course they do.
It's like
course they do, yeah.
You know, if they were to take a vote, they're not going to vote to tear down Big Ben.
Right.
Also, tourism is great for the local economy.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's only, I mean, well, in a lot of cases, in some cases, it's tearing out family businesses, and
Right.
that's another
It's
conversation.
making
Right.
cost of living
Causing
way
a
too
problem.
high.
Yeah, but I think part of my hesitation with looking like a tourist wasn't just, it was also like because there's an association with Americans when they travel that they're disrespectful
Yes, there is.
and that they're brazen or just like
entitled.
Yeah, there's like all these things. And so I think part of that was me like
Yeah.
not wanting to appear like an American. But I think maybe if we would all just embrace our American, but show them there's like different types of Americans, which the world knows now. I think we're on that page. But I think just having that confidence to be like, it's like being a Christian and not being a crazy extremist.
Right.
It's the same thing. It's like I can be a tourist, but also respect there's cars in the road and move out of the way.
Right.
Queue up and not like push people around. Like
Yeah.
Right.
it's a respect thing. Respect where you are. Don't make a mess. Don't put your trash on the ground. Pick it up.
It's kind of like I used to have a big problem with being lumped into a group, including like Christianity. I had a huge problem like being lumped into this idea of Christianity or being lumped into this idea of feminist or whatever because of like the extreme cases. And like I want people to know that that's not me, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's exactly what you're saying. Like being confident in who you are and like, yes, I'm American, but I'm not a weirdo. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
And yes, I'm a New Yorker, but
Right.
I'm not going to be rude. I'm going to give you the time of day. I might smile at you because I'm from Oklahoma.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I might not have headphones in because I might want to have a conversation with you in line. Like,
Definitely not
I mean,
me, but yeah.
yeah, right. But those exist.
Right.
It's like, yes, I'm a feminist, but no, I'm not a man hater.
Yes.
Right.
It's like, yes, I just, there's so many examples of that. So I think like really I've come to terms with that this year.
Yeah.
And like,
I think that's the best thing about culture shock.
yes.
Is like teaching you like who you are.
Yes. How to
Truly.
be. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And how to, embrace those elements in a new place.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of your biggest culture shocks?
Besides internet. Gosh, I don't know. I mean, obviously, because it's like, it could be in America.
I would say it's kind of
It's a pretty Western
similar.
society, but they do still have different values. Like, was any of that a shock? Or, I mean,
well, because Australia had come up so much in our just lives and in the podcast and really kind of learning about the way that specifically architects did business, or the ones we were paying attention to. There's just and I think this happens in middle America, but there's just such a focus on working to live and work-life balance. And I think it's not a culture shock, but it is a part of the culture. And I think even just like weirdly was it Christmas? It was around Christmas. It was like December. Like everyone shuts for like weeks.
Really?
Like cafes, like you're like, we have all this time off, but we can't go anywhere because everything's closed because everyone's on holiday for 6 weeks. And it's like actually awesome.
Yeah.
But then also like, this is weird because if you were in New York and it was Christmas, everything is open.
Everything's
extended
open.
hours.
Yeah.
Like also because it's not a tipping culture or a commission-based culture. Like say you're at a store and it's closing time. The police officer is at the top of the escalator to escort you out of the department store because it's closing time, and the store no one's staying over to help you.
Yeah.
It doesn't benefit them, and then and not in a rude way, just in a like, I've got a family to go home
It's
to.
like a respectful.
It's like you're not royalty, and I don't have to cater to you. I'm happy to help you.
Our hours are posted.
Yeah. And then it's the same with like food. Being in restaurants, like no one's like.
Yeah.
Constantly coming around, like you're gonna get your food and whatever your drinks are, but like it might be a little slower. Like you're not, you're just, so that's a little bit of culture shock because it's just like, and when you're working for tips,
Yeah.
you're working a lot harder, maybe too hard sometimes,
Yeah.
but it's because they just do that differently. And then like big bucks, I feel like knowing where to buy things is like kind of culture shock because like when you're used to certain chains that are in America, like Whole Foods, just Amazon, not having Amazon was culture shock for me. So I'm like, where do I buy things? That's a personal problem. But yeah, just like getting used to like, oh man, I tried to make potato mash for an Easter gathering thing. And like, I had to figure out, okay, they don't have half and half. So like, what is half and half? And then like, I'm at the store for 30 minutes because I have to find the equivalent of a russet potato because that isn't a type of potato there. But they have waxy potatoes. They're just called something different. Or like tried to make puppy chow and I couldn't find Czech cereal because it's not sold there. Or like the peanut butter tastes different. Like stuff like that you're like at first when you're sort of trying to have a little bit of America.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to have a breakdown over trying to make puppy chow. What's happening here? It's literally the world's easiest food.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Like, you're so far from home and you just have the like, I want a little bit of comfort, like
Yeah.
the things I'm used to, and like all of the snacks are different,
Yeah.
all of the drinks are different. You
It's
can't just like go to the grocery store and buy a Reese's or whatever.
Well, no. And it's becoming more common, but no. Sydney's more Americanized even than Melbourne is.
Oh, okay.
Like there's a lot, like I remember seeing like Flamin' Hot Cheetos and I was like, what? I don't even eat those, but what? So like, yeah, it's kind of funny, but.
And fun fact, they do not have squash in Australia.
Yeah.
It's
Pumpkin.
pumpkin.
They have butternut pumpkin and pumpkin and acorn pumpkin and pumpkin.
Everything that we call squash, they call pumpkin.
And then
It's interesting.
what is
Fascinating.
it? Bell peppers or capsicum.
What?
Yep, capsicum.
Why? What does that
It's
even?
just the name of it there.
Huh.
I know. Cilantro is coriander.
Oh, I have heard that.
Yeah. Which it's funny because some American cookbooks will say coriander.
Yes.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It's to sound fancy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like creme fraiche. You're like,
Yeah.
it's sour cream, guys.
Yeah. Calm down. Slightly different though.
Okay.
It's slightly sweeter.
Then fine. Then chipotle aioli.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like, okay, it's chipotle mayonnaise.
It's chipotle. Yeah. It's chipotle.
It's chipotle mayonnaise. Like everything that is aioli
It's mayonnaise.
is mayonnaise.
Yeah.
Is we're just changing it to aioli so you don't feel like an obese. Like
Yeah.
it's
Make
like
some mayo.
Yeah,
Doesn't gross.
Yeah.
gross you out
Aioli
too
is
much.
delicious.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But if everything was labeled as mayonnaise, you'd be like, I probably should cool it on the mayonnaise.
Yeah.
But if it's aioli, I'm like, can I get 3 of those
Yeah.
chipotle aiolis, please?
Yeah. Words have power, man.
Yeah.
Names.
Truth.
It's all in the name.
Yeah.
Very true.
Okay. What are your favorite perks of Australia versus America?
I feel like my favorite perks I haven't even fully benefited from yet.
Yeah.
Because like we haven't been there that long, because like now that Ryan has a job, he'll get a lot more time off so we can travel.
Nice.
Which
That's
would be
one
great.
thing I am so jealous of, like other countries versus America, is the time off. I guess Canada doesn't
Canada
really
has-
give much.
Oh, they don't?
Well, according to the chart that I know,
Mm.
America is legally obligated to give you 0 days vacation. Most companies give you 10, but they're obligated to give you 0.
That's so surprising.
Yeah. Canada, I think, is 10. No, Canada's 13. And
like
then
by law, or they're just...
yeah, by law. And then every other country is like 30 or something.
It's a lot.
insane.
Yeah. I'm
Like France, well, a lot of Europe is like 20 to 30. I think France is the most.
yeah.
And then Australia is pretty
It's
high
a
up
lot.
there too.
Yeah, it's a lot. I think I say that it's 6 weeks paid annual, but I think it's 4 and then you grow to 6.
Yeah.
Um,
But even still, 4 weeks
it's a lot.
is
It's to me, it's the reason they're so well traveled.
Yep.
Because when you have Americans who only have 2 weeks off a year and you have family in different
hard.
states, you have to like
plus the holiday stuff.
Yeah,
yeah, it's pretty much impossible. I mean, whenever I had a full-time job and got 2 weeks off, what we would do is like I would take 1 full week. And that would be our vacation week. And then the other 5 days I had would be spread throughout like the holidays and stuff.
yeah, like an
that,
extra day here, an extra
Yeah.
day there. Yeah.
to go visit family or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like 1 week a year is nothing.
No, it's not the time to go travel. Go ahead.
Australia's paid vacation days is 20, and then there's 10 paid public holidays. So 30 days
Okay.
total
Yeah.
of minimum paid paid leave.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then
minimum annual leave.
yeah. And then it grows like it can grow to 6 just
Yeah.
depending on how long, but you're with
Yeah.
the company.
If you look at if you Google list of minimum annual leave by country, the Wikipedia page will come up, and it is a graph, and it shows a color coordinated chart of which countries give like 1 to 5 days, 6 to 10 days, all the way up to 23 to 28 days. That is not counting holidays. And then on America, it's just gray and says no.
No.
We don't
See,
believe in that.
Like
Yeah.
most companies give you 10 days, but they're obligated to give you 0.
Yeah, like literally every other country in the world. I mean, maybe there's some tiny ones in there that I'm not, that's hard that I cannot see, but it appears to be that literally every country in the world has a minimum mandatory paid vacation days except for America.
Wow. So the 2 weeks is not even a given.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
It's not a given.
Wow. I just thought that it was
Nope.
so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So travel.
Yeah. So I think that most Australians we've met are extremely well traveled because they take a ton of time
That's
and they
nice.
go. Plus, it's so far. So, like, if you're going all the way to Europe, you're going to be there a while.
That's true. You need more than a week because
Yeah.
your travel days are insane.
Your travel days are like 2 days basically, and then that's depending on where you're going, time zone shift. So, yeah. You gotta make it worth your time and money for sure.
Yeah, I feel like that was one of the perks about New York that I was excited about is the travel in the Northeast that
Yeah.
we haven't taken advantage of.
It's not
Yeah.
easy.
It's
Yeah.
not easy.
Mhm.
And it's like we have 0 paid holidays
Ever.
because we don't have employers.
Yes.
So
Right.
nobody's paying us when we don't work.
Right.
But also, New York is one of those places that is so expensive to live
Yeah.
that you think, oh, I'll go live in New York City. I'll have train and plane access.
I'll be so close to everything.
Like
I'll
I'm
be
so
fine.
close to all these northeastern places by train that it's like, can be very cheap to go. It is way cheap to go to Europe by plane.
So cheap.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You can easily get a flight to London for $150 round trip.
Insane.
Yeah.
It's
Depending on the time of year.
time
but
of year and all that type
yeah.
of stuff. But you can find deals like that, and it's amazing.
And it's only a 5-hour flight.
Yeah.
So, oh my
nothing.
God.
I know.
Insane.
I know. You'll never know what that's like again. Your flights are insane no matter where you go, really. Well, no.
Except for Southeast Asia and,
Yeah,
and New
Asia's,
Zealand.
yeah.
Yeah. But 5 hours to Europe.
Yeah.
Australians would kick you right in the face.
Yeah.
But whenever your rent
Right.
is
So
72%
expensive.
more expensive
Yeah.
than the cheapest places to live in America,
Right.
all of your money goes towards literally surviving in New York, and you're
right.
like, okay.
Well, and then you have to consider, because it's the train ride is cheaper typically, but it's not like cheap. I mean, you can get a bus, I guess, but then it takes
Buses
extra
are cheap.
cheap.
Megabus.
But then it takes, double the time or whatever it is. It takes a lot longer, but then you also have to do like an Airbnb while you're there. Like it's not like, oh, it's just $50 or whatever. It is more than that.
Yeah.
So it's like a little more planning than
All of it,
I
yeah.
anticipated.
Yes.
I didn't consider that whenever we were moving here. I was like, train ride? Yes, that's cheap.
Although I do feel like, well, I know for a fact the train and the bus is the exact same time to DC, for example. 4
it
hours
is?
either way.
Really?
Yes. For like really cheap. So if you
the
haven't-
buses
Yeah,
are
you guys
really
need to get to DC.
Right, we do.
Yeah.
Before you,
Yeah.
transition in life, wherever that may be.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, that's
DC's on the
You
list.
just
100%.
Have to.
I want to go to the news museum.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
I want to see it so
Hopefully
bad.
it's still
I'm such a
running. It's fairly new.
What are you
yeah.
do-
I think it's
what are you
only a
doing
few years
tomorrow?
old.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Like I have been American for 29 years of my life, and I have not been to our capital city.
Yeah.
And I have lived in New York City for now a little over a year and a half. I have such easy access to go, and I haven't
Yeah.
done it.
The buses are literally like, I mean, I don't want to say $8 because that seems insane.
Well, I know
Yeah.
you can get to Philly for like $7.
But that's what I'm saying. It's insanely cheap.
Yeah.
We need to make that happen.
Yeah.
Also, I've never been to Boston. That's like
I'd
Also-
love to
easy
go to
to
Boston.
get to.
That's like 8 hours.
But that
by
is-
train.
Yeah.
So it's further.
That's further.
further, but it's
And
still
well,
much
But
easier
if you get to DC, it's only 4 more hours.
yeah. Yeah, you can make a little
Yeah.
train trip out
And
of
on
it.
the, yeah,
Yeah.
you could do a little DC on the way up and on the way down.
I haven't seen Philly.
Nope.
I haven't seen any of.
There's some good
I
stuff.
would
in
love
Philly.
to do Rhode Island a little
Oh,
bit.
Go to my
You know,
hometown.
Maine.
It's so pretty.
I would like to see those places.
Maine is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Such good everything. Yeah.
Pretty
Love it.
much. We just need to
Also,
like
the
not
foliage
have
in
a.
autumn is beautiful.
So I have seen on Instagram. I know it's kind of funny because I did think like we would have better falls here. Than in Oklahoma. Oklahoma feels like fall is like 2 days or whatever.
It goes
right?
fast.
It goes fast.
Yeah.
No, I thought we're gonna be in the Northeast. That's where the fall is, but not in the city.
No,
There's like nothing here.
Gotta
There's
go to
not there's not trees to watch change. You know.
it's true.
Yeah,
So
we-
it's a little
You
sad.
need trees for autumn.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
this
Turns
fall,
out.
you can go watch our vlog, and
Yeah.
you can see the 2 or 3 times, I don't remember, that we made specific trips to go places in the city that have
Yeah.
trees.
What?
Yeah.
Prospect Park was one of those, right?
Prospect Park
we went
was
to Prospect
beautiful.
Park twice. We
It's
went
gorgeous.
to Central Park twice, I think.
Yeah.
So maybe we went like 4
Yeah,
times.
because I wanted
Field
it-
trip to trees.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Which, speaking of, we had a giant tree on our street
Yeah,
that whenever we looked out our window, we were looking out at a tree with leaves.
which is uncommon
animals.
and was so nice and
Birds.
it was
at least
so
pigeons
nice.
sitting out there.
At least some pigeons.
And then we left to go to Oklahoma for a few days, and we come back
They
and they had
chopped it.
chopped our tree down.
I was actually legitimately upset.
Yeah,
I was like,
I'm
there's not
pissed.
a park near us. Washington Square is the closest, and it's like
It's a
15-minute
paved
walk. And it's
situation.
not like a
Yeah.
park.
Yeah.
So there's like not a lot of nature, and then they chopped our tree.
Yeah, I could be just
I was
sitting
sad.
on my couch, just kind of lounging back. I could be staring out the window, looking at the sky, looking at the leaves and stuff blowing in the against the background of whatever sky color is happening at that moment.
Yeah.
And now what do I get? Another building.
Another remember when you didn't have buildings to look at?
Well, I do. I do.
We like buildings. Buildings are cool, but trees are better. So
Yeah.
You need both.
You definitely need both.
Do you say both with an L? Because I do.
No. Yeah.
I think I do.
Both.
I say
I think that
both.
Yeah, I've noticed
That
that.
does-
That's one of your words. Both.
Both.
Yeah.
No idea why. I blame. Maybe it's a thing in Rhode Island.
I
blame
think it's
Rhode
a
Island.
Northeast thing.
Okay,
Somewhere Northeast, not all of Northeast.
it's one of the things I've held on to.
Yeah.
So this is something that Sarah and I have been talking about for a while. That how I think it may be a Southern thing or an American thing, but we turn all of our T's into D's.
I think it's an American thing
Example.
mostly.
So
Hunting. What do you say?
yeah,
You did that last night.
I did, yeah. Twitter.
yeah,
The double T.
Oh,
Twitter.
instead of Twitter.
yeah.
We say Twitter.
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 What was that other one?
Winter. We say
Yeah,
winter, but it's a double.
No,
So you're
no, yeah,
saying-
yeah. No, we lose the T in winter. It's because we say it's
You say-
like is your favorite is it fall or winter?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I say winter.
Yes, whenever you think about it, you think I definitely say winter. But I've noticed in conversations, if you really listen,
For
a lot of people
example,
drop the T.
I say I'm pretty like adamant about saying T's, but last night I said hunting, and then I was like, hunting? What? I am hunting. It's hunt.
Hunting.
Yeah.
Hunting.
Some other southern.
No, you didn't. You said hunting, so it wasn't so southern.
Yes.
it was just like.
But still,
Yeah.
to
we
me
drop
it sounded
the
that way.
T's in so many
You
things.
We're
drop the T's a
weird.
lot. Yeah. I think button is when a lot of people
yeah, no one
say
says button.
Yeah.
my sister does.
Button.
I feel like if I say T's, I have to like sit up straighter. Button.
My sister says button
Oh, good for her.
because she doesn't like that we drop the T's. But I say button.
Some other southern things that I know that I have to combat myself on is like it's funny because you'll say a window sill. We will say window seal.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's a sill.
But
It's
it's a sill?
It's SILL.
Yeah, yeah.
Sitting on the window seal. It's windowsill.
That's
and then-
definitely, I don't know if that's an American, it's definitely an Oklahoman thing
yeah.
or a Southern thing, maybe. I don't know. But
I definitely say sill, but I've never noticed one way or the other. I don't use it a lot, so
Yeah. Also, the word feel becomes fill, which is the opposite of the seal thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh.
like how are you feeling?
you say, I feel.
You don't say Phil.
Oh yeah,
You do?
yeah.
He
I've
has,
never
yeah.
noticed.
Like, but I have
How
also
you feeling?
like it's how you know
Feeling.
how do you feel?
Oh, okay. That sounds more natural.
It's how do you feel?
How do you feel? I'm in the middle, I think.
I definitely say feel.
Yeah. How do you feel? There's
Do
more
you
E and I
say,
than
do you say
I.
catch or catch?
I don't know. I have to use it in a sentence. I said that weird.
See?
Well, I fully said sentence weird, but then also, yeah.
I say catch because it's an A.
Well, when you're speaking, you can't technically be listening properly unless you're catching what someone's saying.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it's your turn to talk. Yeah, so I think I say A.
Okay. A lot of, at least in Oklahoma, it's catch.
Catch.
Catch this.
Ketchup.
Well, if you're going out,
But
with
ketchup
Grandpa to play,
Catch.
Catch.
Yeah.
See? I say catch, but
I would say catch.
yeah.
Catch.
Catch is
We're going to
the-
play catch.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it too hard. I really can't be unbiased in this situation. I don't know.
I think it's funny how we just like,
Another
It's
one,
laziness.
yeah.
yeah, another Oklahoman thing that bothers me that I hear it so much whenever I go back to Oklahoma is whenever people talk about pictures.
Pictures.
They
Pictures.
drop the C and it's like, oh, that's a cute picture.
Like a
And I'm like-
pitcher of water.
I'm like, were we drinking something? Did you get the picture of tea out?
They also say washer.
That's true.
Washer clothes.
Yeah.
Worsh.
What a word.
That I feel like that
What a
one.
word.
I do feel like that one is less common. Like that's one that I feel like a lot of people make fun of,
Oh, okay.
but I don't actually hear it in conversation, like or like in regular life a lot. But I hear,
Not talking about laundry on the daily.
yeah, but I hear picture
Picture.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
We've been talking
Anyways.
about that a lot. Just like
Yeah.
being mindful of the way you enunciate
yeah,
things.
the thing
and
that we talk
pronounce
about the most
things.
is the DT thing.
Yeah.
Because I notice like we'll be talking and I will say like it's so much colder this winter. and I didn't say winter.
Yeah. I think all of that stuff is removing yourself from an environment where that's happening a lot. You're more like aware of it.
Yes.
And I feel like we've talked about this, but it's like, I think you can, I'm very like observant of words and pronunciation. It's something I really enjoy. So I think if there's like, even just Australian words, I have readily accepted them into my vocabulary.
Oh, I know. You text me all the time. You're like, petrol's only whatever. Like,
That's a little different.
That is more just because I hear that more.
Yeah.
That wasn't because I don't even have a car. So that's funny.
Yeah.
Did I say that? I didn't know I did.
You
said it yesterday whenever you were talking about the petrol station.
I did?
Yes.
That's weird.
And then when I was texting you about van life stuff, you're like, petrol wouldn't be that much.
All right. Well, sometimes they sneak in there. But there's other, like keen, for example.
Yes.
Like, or reckon, which apparently I say a lot. People
you
keep
do
laughing
say a lot.
at me.
I've noticed the last couple days. You say, I reckon. I'm like, that's new.
That sounds Southern.
In certain contexts, it could, but the way, like, it depends on how you're saying it and when you're saying it in a sentence, because they're using it as a replacement for think.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think something, or I think that would work, or...
I mean, but that's how a Southern person would say it too.
But they say it with like a
boy,
drawl.
I reckon.
That's different though.
Yeah.
I reckon you're on the way to a whooping.
But I think they would more say, you're on the way to a whooping, I reckon. Like, I feel like it ends a lot of sentences in the South.
Yeah.
And it's more of part of a sentence.
You know how else they would use it is be like, look at that big old wrecking ball.
Because there's a lot of those around.
Yeah. I mean, they're always there tearing you down.
Tearing you down. It's true. But
yeah, you do. You have started saying reckon a lot.
But it's like some words, and like, you know, having a fascination with like British words or pronunciations of things. I think,
man,
people
I
might
wish
think
I was
it's
British,
but
I want to say Twitter. You know.
Well, that's a bit of a stretch. No, I'm kidding. But
I'm saying I want to do that in a legitimate way.
Well, I mean, if you just start doing it and you just act confidently, then eventually
you talk completely normal. You're like, I decided to get it off of social media. I deleted Facebook and Twitter.
If you started doing that and you fully were on board, you would 100% be like, you would give zero shits. You'd be like, I can say it if I want.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
but
you would.
I'm saying, like, if you want to improve your vocabulary, if you want to like say things differently, it's just a choice. It's a mental decision.
I mean, I mentally decided, why are we saying catch when it's an A and not an E? I'm going to say catch.
And then you changed it. It's like
that's all I
any
say.
change you want to make in your life starts and it's hard, and then it becomes second nature.
Yeah, totally.
Your brain moves on to other things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, words are fun.
2 things I used to say wrong. 1, I used to say the word across with a T at the end.
Yeah.
What do you say? Across?
Across. I'd be like, that's across the street.
Oh.
And I never knew I did that until our friend Greg Stratton, who listens to this podcast, he started laughing because he was in the backseat of my car, and he was like, he just started laughing whenever I said, yeah, I just need to run across the street real quick. And he was like, you say across with a T. And then
hilarious.
I learned to drop the T, thine after.
Thine after. Now you say thine. So, you know, who knows?
And then I used to use the word seen for every case that it would be saw.
Yeah.
So I seen that.
Yeah.
I seen you do that. And
that's a very Southern Oklahoma thing.
Yeah.
And I like
Didn't know you
the way I
Yeah, you
changed
didn't.
that is literally every time I would say, oh yeah, I've seen that, Sarah would say, saw.
Oh yeah, I correct. It was
She's like a human rubber band.
Yes.
It was my.
Click.
That's one of my biggest. Like I try really hard not to like
Be the
the language person or grammar person because
hard.
you know.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do this.
Oh, I'm very much.
So
I'm
literally
glad.
every time I would say you saw that.
And so you changed.
Yeah.
See, there's some
Yeah.
things I will correct Ryan and just doesn't get in there. So then I stop.
Well, you know, you have to pick your battles.
There's an
sometimes.
appropriate amount of time to continually correct someone.
For
and
sure.
then you just move on.
Definitely.
And unless they're saying I seen things,
Yeah. And
Then
then you just always correct.
you need show them love, tough love, and you know, educate them.
Yeah, exactly. If it was offensive, there would be change.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's not.
I'm very thankful for the change because now that I hear others speaking that way, I understand what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And so,
Not ideal.
Not
Yeah.
ideal.
Not ideal.
and
Yeah.
it's interesting to me because I was thinking about it the other day that it's funny that you would get on that kick of saying seen for the word saw, because in almost every case that you say the word, it is saw. Like pretty much if you say the word,
The only time you say seen is like I have
Yeah,
seen.
I've
Yeah.
seen something. Yeah.
if you're saying
Every
if
other
you're saying
time.
a pronoun, I guess like I, then it's going to be saw. But if you're saying I have, then it's seen.
It's like
anyways.
yeah.
Yeah, it's but you
Language.
the
So
ti-
seldomly
the case
say-
use for seen is way less than saw.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Limited. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It's just something personal in my own
Yeah.
life that I had been taking up some brain space.
listen,
you
I'm
know?
glad you worked through that.
Yeah, no, I did.
You're a better
I
person
know.
now.
I just wanted to get vulnerable with you guys.
It's important too. Guys, words, man.
Yeah. It's really actually
Character building.
I wanted
True.
to put that out there to show that even those who appear perfect sometimes have flaws.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
goodness.
I know.
Yeah.
Just knock down a peg over
really,
here.
really
yeah.
helpful.
You want to
Yeah.
like tell me how brave I am? Or,
Yeah, you're so
Oh,
brave.
yeah.
Wow.
I'm so
good work.
glad that you could
Snaps
help.
for Cody.
You could help people with the trauma you've been through.
I know.
Yeah. But I do think like that was facetious, but
Yes.
I do think
For you.
not to take away from your pain, but I do think like it's like we always like you guys often there's like a lot of big change that takes small steps, but even something as simple as language and tone and like it's so small but it can make such a huge
It
difference.
rewires your brain in some capacity, you know?
And also helps you fight off Alzheimer's because when you're learning new things, you're
Yes.
using your brain, and
Which
that
is
is
why
good.
you should be curious.
Yes.
So we can all
Deeply
live really long,
Curious.
healthy lives.
Yes.
How has Australia changed you?
I don't know. You tell me. I'm just kidding.
You say reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Words.
Okay. Other than how has Australia changed you in deep ways that you never would have thought?
Oh, I know where to go with. I know where to go with this. I'm a planner. I know my next step. I have had a fairly straightforward life. I haven't had a lot of hardship. I'm super thankful for that. I've always discredited it because I'm like, well, I don't really have struggle, so I don't really know what it is to trust in God or to just fight through something but I discredit my ability to work hard and to, those things. So my point is that moving to Australia has been the hardest thing that I've ever done and that Ryan and I have ever done. And it's caused me to realize how little control I have over my own life and how much like you can have an idea of what you want and where you think you're going, but it can change so quickly. And it's just helped me relax as a person. And just because I don't know what the future holds, but I genuinely feel at peace with that. I don't know what I want in my life. I don't know where my career is going to go, but I'm just so much more comfortable with that. And I think I'm not saying I needed to move to Australia to figure that out, but it certainly kicked me right in the butt and made me learn it. And I think also just like my trust in God has grown this year just because, we've genuinely been like, we cannot do anything. And this might have been a huge mistake. And there was so much doubt in the beginning. Like, what have we done? Everything changed. God, you knew this was going to happen. We didn't. And now we're like in this situation. Like, there's just been so many things like that. But then it's like also hindsight, seeing little pieces of the puzzle that we're all part of the plan. And like this situation, now it's like, okay, phase 2, Australia. Things are a little more settled. We're still not exactly where we want to be. We're moving in a direction that seems a little clearer, but I just feel like I'm less anxious. I'm more flexible. I'm holding my very strong opinions and my very like bold outline just really loosely.
Yeah.
Because it could change and I'm open to change. I want to be open to things. I want to have a conversation with someone and it to spark something because I'm actually paying attention. I think just being present, being flexible, I think those are just the main things probably. And I genuinely feel more relaxed. I really do. And it's a nice feeling. But I don't want it to turn me into being a lazy person. And I don't think it will because I am a hard worker. You
don't have that streak in you at all.
I don't think so, but you never know.
I also think that it's easy to consider something that really is working hard as lazy whenever you've been raised in an American society
Yes.
that thinks that anything that is not grinding yourself into the ground is lazy. That if you take time off, if you actually take all 30 of those paid days off, is lazy. Like
that's definitely not a thing that
in
Americans
American
like.
culture does not uplift or praise or look to anybody who is genuinely balanced and taking time.
No, and I mean that reminds me of just the grace that the people in our lives in Australia have had for us. Like examples of, I haven't felt like I need to act like I have all this stuff going on. I'll literally be like, I'm having trouble leaving my apartment today, to someone, and just being super genuine and like, this is where I'm at. And they're like, oh, do whatever you need. Like, we get it. Or like, no one's acting, well, what are you doing with your day? Well, what did you do for the last 8 hours? And why aren't you doing this? And what about this? Like, that is the very American in me. But I don't find that Australians are that way. The ones in our lives, obviously. I can only speak for the people that we've had in our lives. Yeah, but they do embrace time off and weekends and leaving work at 3 p.m. No one's like, why'd you leave? Could have worked for like 4 more hours. Like, everyone's like, oh, awesome. Good for you. Like, I do think that is praised a little bit more. Like, more of the work to live mentality.
Right.
I guess I'm going to move to Australia.
Come on over. We'll take you.
And that is something that Sarah and I, we have always been that way.
Right.
That we love to work on the things that we're passionate about. But at the end of the day, we are not working. We're not living to work.
Right.
Our life isn't here so that we can work our life away. And we're not working for the sake of working because
what else?
That's what you do.
Yeah.
It's
It's like always trying to move towards a life of balance and a life that your work is meaningful, but it is not your sole identity. And that
I
there
think that's the
is
big
another
thing.
life outside of that.
Is that I've learned that I just really don't want my work to be my identity. Americans don't know anything else. Like the American culture, we don't know how to identify as anything other than our work. And that's always been like a huge thing for me. As like a huge, because for a long time I hated what I was doing and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And like whenever you're in that spot and someone asks, what do you do? Because that means, who are you? You're like, oh gosh, I hate what I do, so I kind of hate myself. You know what I mean? It's like a correlation, I think mostly subconsciously, that most of us don't even understand. So yeah, I think like not having your identity tied to your work is something that I have been very like conscious of, I guess. Even though I really do want to love my work and I want my work to be an extension of myself, but that's completely different than your work being your identity. Right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think we rush the finding and we put so much focus on finding our passion that we think that means we have to find it quick.
And then that once we find it, it's
like finding yourself.
The only only option. Like we don't give ourselves time to learn the passion. Like you don't just start off as a really great whatever your passion is, like gardener.
We can't all be you, Cody.
Yeah, you have to learn like the
I found
soil.
my passion early, but I didn't find my skill early.
That takes time. It takes a lot of time.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like once you find your passion, you still have to learn it, so it can't be your career.
Well,
like,
and you've obviously found you know what your passion is.
Right.
It's writing.
Right.
And it's taking time for you to build the confidence,
right,
to put it out into the world, and you are doing that slowly, but it's not going to happen immediately.
Right. Yeah.
It's just, it takes, but it doesn't mean you have to find other things to fill your time when you're living in New York City and you have to pay the rent.
Right.
And you don't want someone to be like, well, what do you do? It's like, well, what do you mean what pays the bills?
Yeah.
Or what I do?
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
It's different.
Yeah, totally.
What is something that you have found that Americans care deeply about that Australians don't care?
Yeah, I would say I've noticed since being in the States for a couple of weeks that Americans are very obsessed with celebrity culture. And I'm so out of the loop being in Australia because we don't have all those magazines at the newsstands. Like, unless you're following it intentionally on social media, like, you're not bombarded with it. Even being in Melbourne's the size of LA. So like in LA, you're literally going to see billboards and ads with
totally,
celebrities and movie posters, and like you're bombarded with it. It's like literally Hollywood. You know, in Melbourne, like there's like street art and stuff, but there's not like posters there's just not as much of it. It's not on buses. It's just not everywhere you look.
Do you feel like, because I kind of am more recently thinking about and maybe kind of forming an opinion that like advertising and just everything in America is like advertising is overwhelming and like makes us anxious because there's like it's information overload kind of. Do you feel like it's like significantly less in Australia?
Yes, but I also think it's because there's 350 people in the United States and there's 24 million in Australia.
Yeah.
There's just not as big of a market there.
Yeah.
So you've got to be a lot more creative with your marketing and also like, you know, your figuring out who your target audience is and finding them. So maybe it's a little bit more on the like specialty side. And I mean, see, it's also hard because we don't have, I mean, a lot of people our age obviously don't have a cable,
right?
Whatever it's called.
Subscription.
Yeah. So I don't even know what, I mean, the commercials are even a completely different style.
Yeah.
Like than the ones here. And so I don't know. I just feel like you're not bombarded with it as much because there's just less people. There's less marketing happening. And yeah, maybe that has something to do with it.
Maybe.
But I genuinely don't know.
Statistically speaking, Americans are going to be more depressed, more distressed than Australians.
Statistically, yes.
Would you feel that you would have noticed that has affected you personally? I mean, you've had a very stressful year.
Yeah.
But
I mean, obviously there's stressed, anxious, depressed people in Australia, but I think because and kind of what you were talking about earlier, like the whole like balance, you know, there was something Pastor Matt said a couple of years ago at the church we all went to. He was talking about the focus shouldn't be balance, it should be center. And when you're centered, your life may be imbalanced or out of balance, but your center is solid, your why is solid. And so I think because balance is just next to impossible to achieve.
Right.
And that has always stuck with me. But I think with Australians, with the center being quality of life and everything surrounding that, from healthcare to your employers to, you know, how much time you're getting off to the quality of food that you're eating and coffee or drink. Like, I think that really is at the center of what they're doing.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. What's the core that you're focusing on and how everything else kind of orbits that.
Yeah. I think I feel like that to me is something I've noticed, whether or not it's true.
Right.
It just seems, and just a general, obviously being in America in a hyper-capitalistic society, I'm pro-capitalism, but I would say America's hyper-capitalistic. Like just the push and the drive, especially in New York City, to achieve and to just go, go, go. Like if that's your core value, you're just going to have a lot more people on medication.
Yeah.
Because it's unsustainable I mean, no one can sustain that life without the help of something.
Yeah.
Some sort of driver or calmer downer. Like,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think because quality of life is at the center of Australia, there's less people who are forcing themselves to do things outside of what their physical capabilities are.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I'm sure that there are people, you know, like my observations, you know?
Yeah.
I just did a quick fact check of myself of the stress level of Australia just to make sure that the U.S. was actually more stressed than Australia. It is.
But not much.
So the only thing I found quickly was employee workplace stress by country.
Oh.
And so just workers' stress level. Australia is actually number 2 by the least stressed
it's
in the
least
world.
Stressed.
Least stressed in the world.
Yeah, number 2.
Well, I mean, cool.
But the U.S. is at number 4. So it's not far behind.
Well,
that way.
There you go.
Oh.
Yeah, as far as in this particular
what's the source?
Business Insider article. So
What's the number 1 stressed?
I don't know. This is, you mean number 1 least stressed?
Oh, no. Most stressed. This is the least stressed?
the things that I found that first popped up about like the most stressful companies were like Somalia and South Africa and
Yeah.
like,
Okay. Yeah.
whenever you take it in the context of global poverty,
Yeah.
Right.
stress means something completely different than
To our
our first
Western
world
world.
problems.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
What's
Yeah.
the least
I
stressed?
don't know how to
'Cause
find
it's
a
so-
survey on first world stress levels.
Yeah, I don't.
So-
It's so relative to your industry and
Yeah.
to your community, and there's
Yeah.
just so many factors. I think it's really hard to make a generalization about that at all.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, Melbourne was,
cool.
according to, is it The Economist?
The Economist. Yeah.
#1 best city in the world to live.
Yeah. Well, whoever else does the livable city things, it was like 1 for 8 years, and then
It was
2
oh,
this
that's
year.
right. It was #1 for 8 years,
Yeah.
and then it's #2 this year,
Yeah.
beat by
Austria,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Bern, or no? Is it
Vienna.
No, Vienna. Yeah,
Yeah.
Bern, Switzerland. Anyway, yeah. Yep.
Which was
But-
kind of random, but
But I feel like that's based on things like, yeah, like healthcare, transportation,
yeah,
like more the macro stuff.
yes,
That's quantifiable, obviously.
Yeah.
The nuance is a little hard to get a graph on.
yeah.
Yeah. Another culture shock thing is driving on the other side of the road. It's
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's crazy to me that your brain can be like ambidextrous in driving. Like it's amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm like, wow, brain, good job.
so like it wasn't that hard to figure out.
Well, like, I mean, I think anytime that you're alone on the road, it's weird because you're like,
Yeah.
wait. But as long as you're staying with traffic and following it,
Yeah.
you learn it pretty quickly. But like the fact that they just hand you a set of keys for a car that's completely oriented differently and weird.
And they're like,
Mhm.
here,
Yeah.
have at it.
Have at it. It's weird. In New
Good
Zealand,
luck.
they actually like give you a binder and like go through a few rules.
Oh.
Because there's like one in New Zealand, like when there's a lot of 1-lane things
Mhm.
and
Mm.
bridges. So like when you're depending on which side of the road you're on, there'll be a big arrow and a small arrow. And if you're on the side of the road that has the big arrow, that means you have the right of way.
Hmm.
If you're on the other side
Oh.
and there's a car coming, you have to wait if you have the small arrow. So they like go through some of that stuff with you, which is helpful.
Yeah.
But Australia, they just give you the keys.
Wow.
So no accidents or, oh man, the speeding cameras. Good Lord. They don't have like, there's some polices that pull, like officers that'll pull you over. It's super rare because there's just speeding cameras and traffic cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
And you'll just get mailed a ticket for $300.
Oof.
It's like
Did you get a ticket?
twice on the way to pick up Kaiju and on the way home with Kaiju. It's the
Wow.
only ones
So
we've
like
gotten.
in
We
the
were
same day.
Very excited. Yeah, and same camera. Because
Reckless pet endangerment.
yes, reckless pet we were so excited. And we didn't know how the camera thing worked. So that's super annoying, but also super smart for the economy because they don't have to pay people to
Man,
track
but
you down.
that's kind of a bummer that you just don't even know that you're getting a ticket. And then you just, in the mail, it's like, hey, you owe us $300.
Yes, it's super annoying.
It's like, here is footage of you doing said thing. What do you plead?
Yeah. You can fight this if you want.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It won't work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's like, I plead not guilty. Okay, play.
Yeah.
Well,
It wasn't me.
it's like, can you 100% verify that is me?
Mm.
It's
There's
like,
got to be
'cause-
workarounds.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was one.
Well, that makes me feel better about the driving, though. I haven't driven on the opposite side of the road yet because
You
it
will.
terrifies
It'll
me.
happen.
I feel like I would wreck everything. I'd just be like a
No.
mess.
It's fun. It's such a sense of accomplishment when you do it. You're like,
Probably.
wow, I can
My
do
brain
this.
is
It's like
Smart.
brushing your teeth
Yeah.
with your non-dominant hand. It's
Yes.
like, woo, I did it.
Yeah.
I made that happen.
Arguably, you're probably a better brusher with your other hand because you're not falling into bad habits and missing spots. So maybe we should
Oh.
switch hands from time to time.
Wow.
Wow,
That's actually
next
a pretty,
podcast, we're going to talk about teeth brushing habits.
That's a pretty good insight, actually.
Just a thought.
I'm going to do that tonight.
Also, I mean, I'm sure this is a pretty common thing, but it's called a toothbrush, but it's to brushing your teeth.
Do it.
Oh, yeah. So why
why
isn't it a
teeth
teeth brush?
Teeth brush. Interesting.
Because it brushes all of your teeth, not just one of them.
Right.
Also, we were talking about this the other day. Why are some things in the plural form?
For example, here's what. So a pair of jeans is plural.
Mhm.
2 leg holes, 2 jeans,
Mhm.
right? Well, 1 pair of jeans,
Yeah.
but
Is
2 are
holes.
Yeah.
plural.
yeah.
So I guess if you cut a pair
But-
of jeans in half at the fly, then now you have a jean.
I don't know. But
I put on my jean.
overalls, which are jeans,
Yes.
are singular. You call them like them, they, not you. Or you know what I mean? Like
Sort of.
overalls are a singular piece of clothing, or a romper,
Yes.
or a jumper.
Well, no, I think that's the difference is that overalls we say is plural. Like it's a pair of overalls.
Yes.
But it's
we don't say it's a pair of.
But it's
no,
a
we
jumper. It's like,
We say a pair of jeans.
That's what it was.
right. But
I was
Jeans,
comparing
overalls.
like a jumper or a romper to a overalls. That's what it was.
Yeah.
They're virtually the same thing, but a romper is
a romper, which is basically
Romper.
shorts,
Yeah.
overalls.
Yeah.
and then overalls, which are plural.
Feels like there's got to be a reason, but it's probably a dumb one. Or
You would be
Probably.
like, you wouldn't say, I like those romper.
Mm-mm.
I like those overalls.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. It's probably just an arbitrary thing. Like it's
just like something we
in
just
Spanish, when
inherently
something's
knew.
masculine or feminine, but it's not necessarily masculine or feminine. That just is in the language.
I like
Yeah.
those jumper.
Yeah, just
like
say
those
that to people.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. Yeah, it won't be weird at all.
Isn't that weird though? Kind of fascinating.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. There's so many weird things in the English language,
So many.
in every language.
Yeah, I do. Well, it's kind of common that English is like the most weird though,
Because
right?
there's
most
so many
difficult.
exceptions and weird rules.
Yeah,
And then exceptions to those weird rules.
Yep.
Mhm.
lots
what
of
was
slang.
that
and
thing the other
slang.
day? Yeah, you were talking about
Yeah, you.
about that there is
Oh,
that's another word right there. I just said there instead of there.
You said there?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah,
I said in that the other day you were talking about how there is this thing.
yeah.
It's a very short form of the word there is this thing. Yeah. There.
Yeah, there.
There.
Anyways.
Yes, like you. It's this thing that like all English speakers inherently know the like order in which you put things in a sentence without actually being able to say it. So, for example, he said, like, you would never say green great giants. It's always great green giants. It's always the great and then the color and then the, you know what I mean?
Even though
It's
they're
like-
all adjectives.
Yes.
But
it's like
you
the
know
adjective and then the
Adjective
color and
order
then the,
that sounds
Yeah.
correct.
Yes.
So I just Googled it real quick, and it's the order of which the adjective order in English would be quantity or number, then quality or opinion, then size, then age, then shape, then color, then proper adjective, and then purpose of qualifier.
No. Forgot all of that already.
For
we
example,
inherently know that though.
For example, I love that really big old green antique car that has always been parked at the end of the street. But if you were to change any of that, I love that. It doesn't actually have. I'm going to make this up. So instead of I'm going to reverse these orders. So I love that green, big, really old antique car that.
Like you just wouldn't say that. You would say really big green old antique car.
No,
Or really big old green antique car.
Yeah. I kind of like, and thinking of that and then thinking of like you guys going from Oklahoma to here and then me going to Australia, like learning new ways to like say things. And
Yeah.
it's like, it's fun.
Yeah.
I like it. And like being more observant of your Oklahoma tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, they don't say that here. What's it like? Oh,
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
cool.
One of the things here that was different is they say stay or take away at a
Oh, takeaway. Yeah,
like
we say
a-
that. Yeah.
Mhm.
restaurant or whatever.
Not to go.
Not to go. It's always to stay or to go in Oklahoma.
Takeaway.
And here it's takeaway. And
yeah.
probably for the first 6 months, my brain was like it would freeze every time they asked that question. It would like
Like what?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
go?
Because they
Yeah.
don't even say to stay or
Yeah.
they say what do they say?
They say
For here to
Here,
go.
They
takeaway. They say for here.
No, but they
takeaway.
don't say for here.
They don't say for
say to stay or take
Oh,
away.
they
They
stay.
say
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stay or take away.
Yeah.
And every time my brain, it was like mush. It was like,
You know, another
I don't
thing
know.
that does not make sense to me is whenever you are in line and you're in the queue and you're in line for whatever, and the person at the checkout, they're like following,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
following, following.
What do you work at Whole Foods?
Yeah.
No, they don't talk there. They just give you a
It's like, yeah.
automated system.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah.
Following. Here's a quiz. Which sentence uses the correct order of adjectives?
Good
Oh
lord.
gosh.
My brother rode a beautiful big black Frisian horse in the parade. Or B. My brother rode a beautiful Frisian big black horse in the parade.
A.
So, just so you know, if you're a native English speaker,
We
you,
all do
you
it.
inherently know that whenever you are talking about something, that you order your adjectives in quantity, quality, size, age, shape, color, proper adjective, and then purpose of qualifier.
Got it. Quiz me. I'm ready. Not even close. Well, in Australia, we just shorten the words of everything and you have no idea what anyone's saying.
Over there.
Over there.
Yeah, over there in Australia.
Cuppa with a biggie. What does that mean?
What?
Guess.
What?
Say it again.
Do you want to have a cuppa with a biggie?
What's a
cuppa?
cup of
Mm-hmm.
With a biggie. So you're
Biggie.
a bicky.
something?
So
I don't
probably
know.
like a cup of tea.
With
Mhm.
a biscuit.
Mm-hmm. Nailed it.
Yeah. I was thinking breakfast related, but because they call it brekkie, right?
They do.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe it's breakfast, but I knew that wasn't the.
Do you want to
Yeah.
boil the jug?
What the hell is that?
Put the kettle on.
Oh. A trunk is a boot. A
Mm.
cooler is an esky. It's lots of fun stuff like that.
A cooler is an esky.
Mhm. Like Eskimo.
I like that.
Uh-huh.
I'm going
Weird.
to call them eskies.
Eskies. Yeah, put in the esky. Oh, can you open the boot? It's weird.
That is a little
Oh,
weird.
a comforter is a doona.
Duna.
There's no word. There's no reason. It literally makes no sense. A duvet, or like, you know,
Yeah, a duvet cover.
a
Yeah.
doona. Yeah.
I mean, Duna is
Duna.
close to duvet.
But
Yeah.
two O's, an N, and an A do not. Duvet
Yeah.
is like a French word.
Right.
Yeah.
Doona is like
Duval.
Not a word.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, there's lots of fun stuff like that.
A cuppa with a bicky. I like that.
It's a little weird.
Well, I think it is probably time for a couple with a bicky.
Yes, please.
Or
Are we having a TFC? So they would call that like, it would be like a tofu schnitz.
Really?
Like,
a
'cause
schnitz is like a
fried chicken.
sandwich. Oh,
like,
fried
kinda-
chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, a sandwich would be like a Sammy.
Sammy.
Yeah. Or a toasty. A toasty is like a panini.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Toasty's cuter.
Yeah, it's cute. Sorry.
I'm
Yeah.
going to adopt that.
well, anyways, we digress.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we don't. So we have covered a multitude of topics.
Yes, we have.
Just a conversation, and just a little lighter episode, and we got into some deep stuff with Michelle about Australia. So, like I said, we had no idea where this podcast was going to go. Just knew how it was going to start, and we.
I feel like this is very indicative of our regular conversations. They just kind of float from topic to topic and then come back around and then float from topic to topic and then come back around.
Yeah.
That means
feel
that means you're listening to someone.
Yeah.
Because if everything was organized and like always on topic, then we wouldn't actually be like letting our brains be curious. And
You're
if
right.
you're going to be curious, it means you're going to wander.
So true. Fine. I don't apologize for it.
Don't.
All right. Well, we are going to wrap this episode up because we have a date with a fried tofu chicken.
Sounds
esque.
disgusting a little
Yeah.
bit. Is very delicious.
It's a fake chicken sandwich that Superiority Burger in New York City does every Monday, and we are pre-dinner recording this on Monday. So
highly recommend.
that's what we're about to do. It's what my mind is on.
Give me that chicken, sort of.
Thank you guys for listening. If you want to check out some Deeply Curious merch, you can do that by going to shop.deeplycurious.fm. Leave a rating on iTunes if you will. Go grab yourself some cuppa and a
Bicky.
bicky.
Nailed it.
All right?
Yeah.
Smashed it, mate. Smashed it.
Yeah.
Legend.
Thanks, Brew. All right, well, that will be the end of this episode. Michelle, thank you so much for being a friend.
Anytime.
Amazing. Anything you want to leave the people?
With
Tell all your friends about the podcast. I mean, I haven't even done that, so but do it. You do it.
Well, we were
It's
your
so
only
good.
friends, so.
Share it. It's true.
We
I don't
are
need to share it with you.
yeah.
All right, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week.
Bye.